and I know people have changed their minds as things grew more radical, but I think people who initially were supporting the transgender movement were not doing so out of evil. They just, it's, this kid's going through some stuff, or I want to be a supportive parent. I think they were very ill-guided. It was obvious to me that as soon as you start saying that children have the authority when they're 4 to decide about their bodies, we know what comes next. We just know what comes next. It's obvious. And it's never, they're always trying to throw these things out to exist between like a left-right paradigm, but it's just the sickos at the top trying to accomplish their aims and also slowly introducing this in culture. We spoke about that, how they're now kind of soft selling us incest and pedophilia at all times. And of course, if you've read Hollywood Babylon in our book club, then you know that this is the founding story of Hollywood. That is Hollywood's founding story. They were after this Babylonian culture. They
look up Project Mockingbird and MK Ultra. It will blow your guys' mind.
Largely imported a bunch of Viennese directors who had been engaging in pedophilia over in Vienna, and that it was rampant. It was just rampant. Anyway, Nick Fuentes is one of these people who is trying.
I was on Nick Fuentes' side when it came to the Candace and Nick drama in regards to their first meetup, but recently he's really not made that smart of comments. For instance, he was anti-war. He was for anti-genocide, when it comes to Palestine, Hamas, yet he's cheering on Venezuela, it seems like, and now saying we should attack everyone if it benefits ours. Let's take over everything. His words and not mine. Not to mention the Charlie Kirk assassination. He defended the Fed slop, which was already proven to be a lie in like 6 different scenarios. This administration was 100% lied about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and Nick Fuentes accepts the narrative. And it's just sad to see, because he was one of the first people to call out Israel and to be a conspiracy theorist who calls out and questions everything. And now he's just accepting the narrative and pushing the same talking points that these other Zionists are saying. And it's not a good look.
To soften it. So for clarity, before we listen to this clip, Jeffrey Epstein had been accused of trafficking children, 8 years old, 11 years old. He, for his own birthday, as a birthday present to himself, found some 12-year-old triplets who were dirt poor, and his friend, Jean-Luc Brunel in Paris, flew these 12-year-old triplets to Jeffrey Epstein, okay? No one's arguing about Jeffrey Epstein's perverted interest, a sexual interest.
Also, I believe her name is Liz Crokin. She has discovered a lot in regards to Pizzagate, which is also involved with Epstein. And it's the whole cabal of these elites in Hollywood and the political sphere, and just every term in regards to the top dogs that own and run this country. Amazon owners, CEOs, Bill Gates, these people who want one world government. These are the people who are involved with Epstein. These are the people who control our everyday policy decisions. These are the people that, kind of control the whole entire system behind the strings. And the fact that they haven't been locked up, especially Bill Gates. Trump had him at dinner recently, sitting next to Melania Trump. And we know that was Jeffrey Epstein's one of his best friends. And that guy is kicking it, having dinner with Melania and Trump. What a bigger FU to the base who supported Trump than that one. He should be locked in a jail cell.
Someone's arguing that. However, Nick Fuentes is going to explain why actually that's not pedophilia. Take a listen.
This whole pedo thing, it's like, is it really pedophilia? I don't want to be the one that has to say it, but I guess I'm being forced to say it. It's not really pedophilia, okay? They weren't trafficking 5-year-olds. It was like they were technically not legal. Big difference, in my opinion. I know that's a controversial take, but that's not really the issue there, okay? The issue is not that they were barely legal teens, which is what it is. It's horrendous. It's awful. It's pedophilia. Okay, relax. No, the issue is that Epstein is a Jewish spy, probably working with Israel.
Did he just say probably working with Israel? No, he is, for sure. Ghislaine Maxwell and her father were working with Mossad. It is a blackmail operation that the elites in Hollywood, the politicians, these big chain app owners, the people that run, the info apps like Facebook, Instagram, etc. They're all involved and they're all owned by Epstein.
That's the dilemma there. He's working with Israeli intelligence.
Honestly, this is a time where it is appropriate to say this.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Agree. I watched just stop right there. Why are we always here in society for no reason? How easy is it not to do that? Okay. Not to try to use some technicality, which, by the way, who do you think is in control of these definitions, by the way? I mean, they are changing the definition.
So yeah, I hope, in my opinion, who killed Charlie Kirk? I think it was Mossad. I think it was the Israel government. Because before we know, as he was taken out, he was questioning them. Also, the $150 million that was offered Turning Point, which he turned down, critiquing them over, October 7th. And he was pulling away from the Israel crowd. So, I mean, technically, we still haven't found out who killed Charlie Kirk. But in my opinion, it was Israel, the government of Israel. That's just my opinion. What do you think, though? I mean, I know people can get lost in the spectacle and all the other crap, but we should... This administration's number one goal, since Charlie was a huge reason, probably the biggest reason why Trump got, put back in the White House, they could find out the murder or be transparent about it. And they haven't been. And what a bigger F you to Charlie Kirk than that.
Of what it means to be a girl and a boy right now. So if you can find, well, look at this definition. Technically, if the person is 11, if the person's not under 5, who cares if they're prepubescent? The point is not pedophilia. We've expanded the definition. We're constantly expanding and changing definitions to confuse people against common sense. Okay. If you are sexually interested in prepubescent children, you're a pedophile. How about that? Is that easy? Thumbs up. Cool. We good? And what is just so remarkable to me, and like I said, I've been fine with him doing his thing. Obviously, he's a federal informant. It's ridiculous for people that don't understand that. It's ridiculous that people just keep following him despite the...
See, I don't know if I believe that Nick Fuentes is a federal informant. He's a Fed. I definitely don't buy that. But I do think that he's had incredibly terrible takes recently in regards to, Epstein, Venezuela, Charlie Kirk. Then he hates on his own fan base and blocks them and mutes them when they don't agree with him. I think he's handled those horribly. Doesn't mean that I think he's a Fed.
Overwhelming evidence. I mean, this guy took a meeting with Dan Wilkes' partner after years of screaming about Ben Shapiro and talking about Israel. And all. He took a meeting with Defend Texas Liberty and Ferris Wilkes' partner, and pitched, one reporter got documents, was pitching to sell the data of his followers. And people were like, that's fine. He led people into a Capitol with a bullhorn and said, ignore police, storm the barriers, as if he had fed instructions. And we know for a fact he was informed the night before by Milo Yiannopoulos, that the feds were going to beat, that there was some Fed trap happening. And despite that, he went with a bullhorn. He didn't just attend, he had a bullhorn, and he's telling people to storm, and he doesn't get arrested. And his lawyer wants to go off record when he's asked directly about whether or not he is a federal informant. It's been so in your face and obvious. The ridiculous, I just got $250,000 in Bitcoin from France from a guy who's killed himself and published a letter 24 hours after he was dead, because he set it on a timer, and it's in perfect English. And anybody who's ever been to France, French people don't speak perfect English. They are not writing a letter in English, even if they speak perfect English. It's just been so absurd that it offends my senses. It offends my sensibility that people have been following him. This is a Glee Club kid, okay? He's dramatic. I like Nick Fuentes clips. Like I like watching Real Housewives clips. And this is, by the way, the problem, as I've said, that heterosexual men cannot continue to follow theater boys. This is actually an illness in our society. is that people who are playing the part of men and are actually at their core theater boys and want to go to Congress and want to have platforms and would never fight wars, they are, for whatever reason, being listened to by actual men. This was just unbelievable to me that the statement was made and you couldn't see that it was going to end here. Of course, this is what happens. This is what happens when you elect or you decide that you're going to follow people who don't like women. That's the reality. They don't like women. So
All
they
right.
offend.
You don't need to turn it into personal attacks because then you just feel like it's kind of biased instead of focusing on what he says. So, Candace, I don't know about this part right here, but let's just continue and see what she says. But just personal attacks, it doesn't look good. Stay on what he says. Stay on the content of what he says, because it just seems biased when you start just hating on him and you just start pointing out all these things that are relevant to why the video is originally being discussed, which is about Epstein.
Them. And despite making that statement, he then tries to do a 180 and pretend he didn't just say what we heard him say. Here's what he said in a follow-up where he's going to yell at you for hearing what he just said, which is that it's not pedophilia. Take a listen.
This is not just about somebody was trafficking girls somewhere. That's not the story. The story is someone was trafficking girls to acquire blackmail to sell to Israel. That is the point. And that is what I said last night. I said, for someone to make it all about pedophilia, I said, it's kind of just like, it's not really true because, again, it does get away from what's happening there. It is not satanic pedophilia cult stuff.
No, that is exactly what it is. I get pissed when people do this. This is what Megyn Kelly did in the past. It is a cult, first of all. They do use child sacrifice for these cults. That is a thing in Hollywood. For him to say that's not a thing and that's more about Israel, trafficking children for blackmail, that also is true. But both are true. And the fact, I wouldn't typically think he would be the person saying this, but this is disgusting take. This is his rebuttal. I didn't hear this yet, and it's just infuriating to say that because it's not true.
It is really run-of-the-mill prostitution and sex trafficking, but for a international political purpose. And it's important not to lose sight of that. I saw Marjorie Greene say this is about female victims. It's actually not about female victims.
What?
It's about the integrity of our government. You understand the difference? It's not to say we're not sympathetic. It's not to say that it's not criminal. It's not to say that it's good. I'm not defending it. I'm saying this is not Dateline. This is not a human interest story. This is a layered crime. It's one crime in the furtherance of a much more politically significant crime. But all these dumb, they literally just don't have the IQ to understand that.
Wow.
For them, it's just about screeching about the same nonsense every day. They don't understand what they're talking about. They have no idea about anything.
Hasn't this guy literally spoken on Epstein a bunch of times, calling him a pedophile and saying how there's pedophiles in our government? Am I misspeaking right now? Because I thought we've all come to conclusions that they were pedophiles and they were trafficking children, young children. And as I've always talked about, if you guys haven't heard of Pizzagate, look into Pizzagate. Liz Crokin, Pizzagate. That is the whole ordeal tied up with Epstein. But Pizzagate was before the whole Epstein debacle. But it's all connected. They use code words, pizza code words for boys. And I think, I forgot for girls, they use something else. But you can literally, even up until this day, if you look on Amazon or Walmart, and there's been a lot of viral videos that have came out about this, they will say they're selling kid toys when in reality these kid toys, which should cost $5, are really $5,000. They're really, I'm telling you, it's more than that. It's not toys, it's actual children, and it is still happening in today's society. We are one of the #1 countries in regards to child trafficking, and it's just sad because they're still being protected. The ones in charge who are running these blackmail operations are still in control. It's ridiculous. We need accountability, and we were promised that. And Trump might have not specifically said, we're going to release the Epstein files, but guess what? His FBI director did. Dan Bongino did. His own son did. Everyone in his administration did. Bondi talked about having the files on her desk. They were weeks from releasing them. They haven't released shit. What about the redacted new files? It's the same shit over and over. They are playing us. Both sides are complicit. Their donors are complicit. They're also complicit. I think people in Trump's administration, Letnick, the Jew that's always sitting next to him anytime he's on Air Force One, he was literally Epstein's next door neighbor for years. And then he plays stupid, acting like he doesn't know what's happening. All of them are complicit in these files, and that's why they'll never release them. That's why we need to vote all these cocksuckers out on the left and right who are voting not to release it. Every single one of them.
Thing. They hear something they don't like. They say, oh, he's with Israel now. He got paid. I'm sorry. I've been doing this way longer than you. When did you come on the scene? When did you get red pilled? Last year? 10 minutes ago? When did you start talking about this stuff? Oh, now you're the expert and the gatekeeper. I'm done with that. I'm out. Seriously. You don't have to unfollow me because I'm out. This whole movement of Gen X idiots that are obsessed with satanic pedophile elite and psycho conspiracy kookery that doesn't even make sense, this Candace Owens bullshit, I'm out of all that. Seriously. I'm done with that.
Yeah, this is the kid who sat across from me and said that people that are sub-Saharan just don't have a high IQ. Let me tell you what he strikes me as. Nick strikes me as someone who was really bright in high school. Then he got a little bit of fame and he stopped reading books. That's it. This is what happens. People go, I made it. I don't have to learn anymore. I can just shut off my brain and keep repeating the same talking points. Because if you do not understand that this is a cult, that the theology matters much more.
It is a cult. And I would suggest you guys look into, I'll probably get shit views on this video for what I'm talking about, but it needs to be explained. I would suggest you guys actually looking into what I said, the Pizzagate. Just saying that word, I know it's going to get monetized. But anyways, look into the backstory. Liz Crokin, Pizzagate on X, because X, they don't edit it, and you can see the full story. She did a huge documentary years ago releasing all this shit. Who's tied to it, the rich elites, the connection with the government, Mossad, etc. And it is disgusting. And Obama was involved. Previous presidents were involved. The royals were involved. Musicians were involved. Everyone was involved. And the people that run our everyday policy decisions, which suck because the economy sucks, are the ones that were involved. So they're literally protecting the pedophiles that are in our government. And Nick's saying that we're crazy, we're retards, we have low IQ because we think what? That's not a cult, and because we think it's a cult, we're stupid. Okay, bro. He ruined, I feel like, his whole career in that take right there.
Than the politics, okay? This like left-right dialectic, it means nothing until you understand the theology that is guiding these elites worldwide. And it is, in fact, occultic. It is, in fact, satanic. And these are, in fact, ritualistic. It's all over. You need but read articles that are in your face or conduct even a minor incursion into the history of psychology, which was brought upon our shores, a minor incursion even to the establishment of Hollywood. It's right there in your face. And by the way, it is actually low IQ anti-Semitism, like you call it, to just go, oh, well, that's just all Jews. That's why I don't like Dave Smith. I don't even like Dave Smith, even though he's completely on our side on everything. It's him. That's actually what low IQ anti-Semitism is. Because to be clear, this occultic ritualistic stuff, these people are gypsies. They exist in every faith. Let's be clear. Aleister Crowley was a student of this. Did Aleister Crowley exist? Did Jack Parsons exist? Who established the Apollo program at NASA? Was he similarly conducting occult sexual rituals to establish a moon child? Did we then suddenly go to the moon after the Apollo program was established? So actually, Nick, it's you that is demonstrating that you have a low IQ, or rather that you are trying to tell your audience to stop learning. You're trying to convince them, and by the way, you're trying to convince them that Satan is a conspiracy theory. Keep focused on the minutia. The left versus right? It's Israel versus America. It's not bigger than that. There's no global conspiracy happening.
Guys, we got to stop pretending that these politicians are not friends behind the scenes. They are all friends behind the scenes. I mean, there was a picture with Chuck Schumer and Marco Rubio that came out the other day of them smiling and laughing like everything's fine. They put on a big show for us and for the world to see every time they're on TV. It's a script. And then the minute they're gone out of sight, they're laughing and having margaritas together, eating lunch together at hotels with their donors, paying their bills. It's a joke. It's a facade, and we fall for it. We need to stop the left-right hate, unite, and go against that system of pedophiles that run our system.
We weren't told that Satan's going to inherit the earth. This is why he also strikes me as someone who does not attend mass regularly. First, because of the way he speaks, there is such a thing as having a Catholic conscience. It's difficult to speak in the manner that he does all the time. If you were attending mass, which he should do, I think it would make him a better person. But far be it from me to give Nick Fuentes any suggestions, because the last time when I just asked him who he was dating, or like, hey, you're going to get married one day, he lost his mind. He started acting like a raging homosexual, calling me all sorts of things, of course, when he was in the comfort of his own home, and very much embodying the stereotype of women that you see on reality TV. This is
Anyways, that's the end of that clip for tonight. Curious what you guys think. Not a good look, I think, for Fuentes. He needs to tone it down. It seems like ever since he's gone mainstream, where mainstream's news sources are actually interviewing him, giving him a platform, he's changed his ways. He's changed his perspectives and just gotten ruder. And, forgot about the base who actually used to listen to him, the anti-war, truly America First people. Seems like he's buying these fake FBI narratives. He's calling us retarded, and he's just not treating his base nice, remembering who they are. Anyways, hope you guys have a great night. See you on the next live. Peace.